So after my experience talking about FIRE on the CNA platform for 2 times last year, which generated quite a bit of publicity, whether positive or negative, I haven't spoken much to mainstream media since. 1 year has passed, and this time, a journalist from Singapore's top Chinese newspaper, Lianhe Zaobao, came to me to collaborate on an article about FIRE, Financial Independence Retire Early. And I know that many of you may not understand what is written in the article because of the language. So I will summarize and translate what have I said, and also what are the other key points mentioned by other experts in that article. Before that, if you're new to the channel, come and join us at our over 10,000 members Telegram group at Honeymoney SG to join like-minded individuals chasing the financial independence retire early dream. Join us at Honeymoney SG. So this is the title of the Chinese article, which says 趁早挣够钱 Z 时代不等告老退休, which basically translates to early retirement planning for Gen Z. And for the synopsis, I just asked ChatGPT to translate it for me. The improvement in living standards, advancements in medicine, and increased health awareness have extended human life expectancy. More Gen Zs are pursuing FIRE, which stands for Financial Independence Retire Early, with the hope of retiring in their 40s or even earlier. However, the cost of living has been rising rapidly, making it increasingly urgent for them to start planning for retirement, which is a hot topic, I guess, because cost of living has been increasing rapidly, especially since COVID. All these supply and demand driven inflation factors, as well as war between Ukraine, Russia, and even Israel and Palestine. So I could totally understand that many people are getting anxious about whether their funds and their cash level is sufficient for their retirement, and specifically early retirement, because that's a very lofty goal. So Zaobao asked me a question on why did I move my planned retirement age from the 50 years old to 35 years old. And I guess they taken it from another interview or video of mine, because I shared that I was initially planning for retirement at 50. That was when I was working in a corporate job. I did not have YouTube back at the time. And my idea of retirement back then was to really not do anything, like not even working at all. But over time, I have come to the senses that I'm not someone who could really sit still and do nothing. And then from 50 years old onwards to the day you die, maybe at 80 over years old, what are you going to do for the next 30 over years? So I guess there must always be some things that you are engaging in, whether it's a passion, a hustle, or a hobby. And that's why I ventured into the idea of semi-retirement, which is the age of 35. So hopefully by the age of 35, I'll reach my financial independence goal of $1 million US, and then I can consider doing things that I love for a passion, and that is specifically this YouTube channel and business. Because the idea of semi-retirement is that you retire to a less strenuous job on your mental and your body, where you may work less hours, you may work part-time, you may work freelance, but you don't have the concern or anxiety over money because you know you're financially independent, which was also why I ventured into this YouTube hustle, because I can treat it like a retirement job. When I feel like posting video content, then I will do it and not pressured by money issues because I have to pay bills and I'll pay for all this and that. Since I'm already financially independent, all this would not really matter. And since I'm already doing a YouTube channel, then why not talk about the stuff that I'm already doing, sharing about the best savings account, best cash strategy, credit cards, some part of investing and retirement planning, especially on CPF, and talk about FIRE videos like this. So that's the idea of retirement planning, or even early retirement planning for some of you. You have to understand what are you going to do. Or if you prefer to do nothing, that is fine. We all have our own reasons to do so. But ultimately, you have to convince yourself that this is the path that you want to take. So with the why reason being answered, the next question is how? How to retire early? And my answer to that question in the article was that you need to build passive income. And specifically, not just passive income amount, but passive income sources. In terms of investing, I have always been investing regularly, specifically dollar cost averaging into index funds via the various trading platforms. Now, how dollar cost averaging works is that you put in a fixed amount of money every month, and if the stock or ETF is expensive, you buy less units, or when the stock or ETF is cheap, then you can afford to buy more units. But you do this regularly with a fixed amount and a fixed interval, for example monthly or quarterly for some of you. And the reason I prefer to do passive investing is because I know that it is not easy to beat the market returns, and I could focus and channel my time into more productive stuff that I can control the outcome, because the stock market and the international events affecting the stock markets are things that you cannot control. So you rather focus your energy and attention on things that you can control, like your own business or your own career, where it's a guaranteed outcome if you put in the effort. Then for the investing side, let the market and professionals take care of you via an index fund ETF. You see, the article mentioned the survey results on Gen Z on their investing habits, and the respondent results may shock you because 60% of the Gen Z lacks confidence in investing, and 48% of these Gen Zs lacks confidence in building their emergency funds. We are not even talking about investing yet. We were talking about saving for the emergency fund. Close to half of them are not even confident of saving that amount. 1/3 of the surveyed Gen Z's individuals have not invested, which is around 33%, and half of these people stated that they do not know how to begin investing. Now, in the past, you can use this excuse because trading platforms are not very widely developed. Internet and mobile phones were not widely used in the past, but now you cannot use this reason because there are so many more trading platforms that offers low-cost investing. And one such example is the Regular Savings Plan feature by Webull, who is a sponsor of today, because Webull RSP allows you to dollar cost average your favorite US stocks, ETFs, and mutual funds at your own pace. Now, I have used other platforms for dollar cost averaging for a few years, in fact, and the difference and the selling point of Webull RSP is ultimately the ease of use, which is convenient. For example, other platforms require you to fund the cash deposits and make sure you have these funds in the account before they could execute their recurring trade order. So you have to ensure that these funds arrive in that trading platform, whether automatically or manually. And if these funds were not in the trading platform on time, the RSP would fail and your DCA will not be that effective. Now, what's different with Webull is that Webull can directly deduct funds from the bank account once you have authorized the transfer. And this can happen the moment you create your RSP order. You don't have to click through multiple platforms to authorize it. Now, I'll show you the step-by-step process that you can follow. Step 1, head over to your Webull mobile app and click on Regular Savings Plan. Step 2, on the search bar, select your favorite stock or ETF ticker. Example, if you are interested to buy Apple, you may select the ticker AAPL. Step 3, enter your investment amount, example 100 Singapore dollars. Select your payment method, which I chose bank account because it can deduct directly. And then select your frequency, which you could choose from monthly, weekly, daily, all this kind of thing. Then once all these details are verified and you ensure they are correct, click on confirm and your buy trade order will be executed on your date. Good thing is that if you have selected bank account funding, you don't need to make sure your Webull account has the cash because it will deduct directly from your bank account at the specified date. Not only they deduct the funds directly from your bank account, they can even help you convert the currency automatically, because if you're buying a US stock or ETF, you can only transact in US dollars, and if your bank account is in Singapore dollar deposits, some platforms, they need you to manually convert their currency, but Webull don't need. Webull will just deduct it and then convert it for you. Did I mention that all these steps can just be done on the Webull app as long as you have linked your bank account? So you really cannot use the excuse that you don't know where to start, because Webull is already as easy as it can get. And maybe the other learning point is that you have to understand what funds or what ETF or what stock you want to invest in, because that will be another brand new financial education which we will not discuss today. Now, even if you think you are not ready for those stock or ETF investments yet, you could still put money into Webull and get a passive daily return into the money pool. That is where you can just do a recurring deposit and the funds will automatically subscribe to money pool, where for the money pool USD is giving around 5.4% per annum on certain USD funds. So without investing in equities, you are already getting a passive daily return. Okay, so if you really do not want to buy anything, don't worry, because if you're new to Webull, you just have to sign up, fund any amount and hold that deposit for 30 days and you'll get 10 free shares. That's a maximum 5,000 US dollars of reward. All this without you putting big sums of money into the investment world. Now you see, there's no reason to wait anymore. Use my exclusive link down below or scan this QR code right here to get your Webull account and start investing today. Anyway, back to the article. I mentioned that there are several passive income sources that you can venture into, especially on my channel. I talk about the more low-risk ones being like Singapore savings bond, the treasury bills, high-interest savings accounts, as well as investments like money market funds or even dividend stocks if you are into income investing. And for all these passive income sources, I've documented it quite transparently either on my social media channels or on other people's platforms like podcasts or appearing on their videos. Now, the article also mentioned the survey that Gen Z respondents want to retire by 40 or earlier. But you see, 84% of them have not planned for it yet, so they were only thinking about it. And only 28% believe that their financial literacy is enough for them to plan for their own retirement. So my opinion on this is that the very fact that you have even thought of it means that you are ahead of others, because there are many people who just spend away their paycheck as it comes and have zero savings. So the very fact that you can even think about early retirement means that you are one step ahead. But that's just the beginner step. After thinking about it, you need to talk about it, talk to others about your plan. Then after talking to others to see whether your plan fits the bill, then maybe comes the execution part, which is always the hardest, because it's a 3-step process. You think, you say, and you do. Doing is always the hardest. Now, an expert also mentioned in the article how the Gen Z people should allocate their income, which is 50% in immediate expenses, 5% insurance, 10% short-term investing, 10% mid-term investing, and 25% in the retirement portfolio. So this is something different from the usual 50% needs, 20% wants, and 30% save kind of thing, right? Because you realize that in this article, a lot of these experts come from insurance companies. So ultimately, they will need to reinforce that insurance data. But coming back to this kind of allocation of income ratio regarding needs, wants, and save, I have never followed that ratio. The context is that I was already living frugally even when I was a student. So all these habits that I have grown up with walk through with me to adult life, and even as a working adult, I still maintain some of these frugal spending habits. So I don't think that is relevant to me anymore. In fact, I also don't pay myself first when the salary comes, because I am always between this spending level of 1k to 2k SGD per month and rarely exceed this expenditure unless I have some big ticket items going on like traveling or wedding. So if you're already a frugal person by nature, all these kind of ratios may not really apply to you, because you already formed that habit since young. But if you are coming from someone who is trying to transition from a spendthrift to a saver, then maybe that ratio is important for you, because you haven't got the habit yet. You need to build that first. So ultimately, when you want to achieve financial independence, it's all about building your own financial discipline. And that includes, don't try to impress others with the money you don't have, because you will fall into this ultimate cycle of the rat race. Like you are trying to keep up with others, but you don't have the financial capability to keep up. And then you have to take on more jobs. You have to work more hours just so that you can finance those debts and liabilities. You can start off by living simply, having lower demands and lower expectations, and then slowly upgrade from there. Occasional luxuries is fine. We always need to pamper ourselves a little bit. As long as it is not excessive, I think we are doing a good, healthy balance of it. And the more important thing other than savings and expenses is definitely building multiple sources of income, which is what I always advocate on this channel. Building side hustles, passive income sources, and other things that can make you more money. And I'm not done with this article yet, because this is just part 1. On part 2, I will really discuss about the sustainable retirement funds that is discussed in the later parts of this article. But if you really want to know, am I on track to hit that financial independence retire early goal? A few months ago, I published this video back then, but bear in mind, this was the data that was a few months back, so things may have changed now, and maybe I'll do an update video about it.